Good evening, VC. So, I guess this is another installment of 5 records worth my shelves. Yeah, it's been easy to do this, so yeah, lots of work lately, so less time to listen to new music, but I have high hopes for this extended weekend. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, but I still got to revisit the shelves, older stuff I'd forgotten, stuff I love, and some new stuff. And these are some of the highlights of this week. Boury.
Es gibt kein Ziel, aber den nächsten Schritt das Gefühl, dass besser wird.
A German jazz band, jazz, like influenced by folk, just about anything. And they've got 2 LPs. This is the second one, the best one in my opinion, by far.
Musik, sondern der Auswurf der Köpfe und Körper.
The first track, this is the opening track on für Herrn Keupert.
So schleudern wir unseren täglichen verrückten Traum der Maschine
called
entgegen,
Kabuki.
die uns ihren Gang aufzwingen will.
And I don't know much about them, I remember I found this in a record fair maybe 20 years ago, and it's constantly been like, you know, this cover is not super cool, or maybe it is, but yeah, it's not like grabbing your eye, especially maybe the first time, but then it's not like it's basically a children's drawing. But I remember that it's a cool record, and that it's kind of difficult to pinpoint what it is, because this track is kind of weird, dark, almost post-industrial, and then you got tracks like this one is called Raga. Chris, John Coltrane, 68. This is for you. You probably know this. So this was on Jazz House Music. This is from '84. Sure, European jazz records from the '80s. Oh, this is beautiful. There's 6 tracks total, and in my opinion, there's 3 total smasher. And the rest is cool, but like the first track, this one, and one on the B-side, really good stuff. So these guys, I kind of had heard about Bobo Lensch and Norbert Stein. The first track was by Norbert Stein, and this one is by Michael Heupel. They don't seem to have like the most extended discography, but what do I know? Maybe I'm totally missing stuff. So this is how should I put it? This is not new age, but it could very well be. But as you can hear, there's an underlying tension in this. Drony bass. This is really cool. So I've been here listening to this this week, and I think that now I cracked it. Like now I know this record in and out, what I expect from it, and why it is worth my shelves. Now for something very special to me. It's the second album by a guy who is one of my favorite musicians ever. Not composers, musicians. And the first one that was released on Cramps Records is a stunner. And this one is a little more difficult maybe to really digest. This is Fernando Grillo from Italy, bass player, double bass, considered by Karl-Heinz Stockhausen as the Buddha of bass. This was released on Electrocord, the Romanian label, because these are compositions from Iancu Dumitrescu, Octavian Nemescu, two of my favorite composers ever. We're listening to Medium 2 by Dumitrescu. So this is just double bass. It's a very nice package as well. Some of the scores, experimental music scores, I'm a sucker for this. And there's a very nice booklet. Here you can see the master. Some of the deepest bass you can hear. So Fernando Grillo, I think he's been mostly featured on others' records, but this first record on Cramps Records, the Diverso sub-label, is fantastic. This is difficult to say it's better because it's a quite rare, unusual record. Also, very few people have heard it, I believe. I might be wrong about that, but the more I listen to this, I feel that I need to spend even more time with it. But it's really a fantastic record. There's two. This is the solo bass track. Then there's one with two double basses, overdubs of himself, and then 2 or 3 orchestral pieces with some prepared piano played by Dumitrescu himself, and Nemescu playing also stuff, synthesizers, some really strong stuff. And this is from what year is that? This is from I believe probably the early 80s. Yeah, 81. So let's see what next. Next is an album that was released last year. I was gonna get it, and then I waited a little too much and it was sold out. So this is a reissue of it, or a repress. This is a record from Kenya. It's a Kenyan band, Duma. Probably the best cover art of an album of the past few years in my opinion. Really good. So this was recorded in Nairobi in Kenya, and it's extreme metal, like grindcore death metal. And at first it caught my attention, and I thought this is really an interesting record. And of course the exhausticity of it, like it being like a proper African metal band. But it could very well be these kind of records that are, it's interesting and it's cool to have, and it's a cool discussion item. And so I was like, do I really need it? I finally caved in, I got it. And listening to the whole of it, it's actually really good throughout. There's a few caveats, like I wish the production was a little less abrupt in how the tracks are starting and ending. And the production could be even rawer, but this is really nice. So Duma, their first album, The vocalist has been featured on quite a few records since then, because they're getting a lot of attention. And yeah. As you can see, so typical metal iconography. And this also came out, was interesting, on an African label, on Nyege tape, in my opinion the best label for African music of the past 3-4 years, because they put African music made by African people. And I don't know, it is really cool label, worth following. Next, an old record that I got a few years ago. I think it's quite under the radar, it's probably still cheap. It's a record Conrad Schnitzler mit Micon Otto, Micon in Italia. Conrad Schnitzler famously was one of the founding members of Tangerine Dream. He was the guy who made them, it's freaky. And he also was one of the founding members of Cluster, so what a career. And then his solo career is amazing. But this, on the Auf dem Nil label, which released the doubling tigers, like some really cool stuff. It's a label, everything on this label is worth having. It's a very small catalog. But this is really nice. It's, I don't know, like spiritual, post-industrial, experimental. And it's a record, there's a few tracks on it that are really cool, but this one is the highlight in my opinion. And that's something to conclude, something much more not mainstream, but like this track should be known by many people. This is where it originally appeared. This is a compilation, a Christmas compilation by the label Le Disque du Crépuscule, Belgium label. This is Cabaret Voltaire, one of my favorite tracks of them. It got reissued in a compilation of Cabaret Voltaire called 8 Crepuscule Tracks, but this is where it was first released. And you got like some great bands. The Pale Fountains, Succès de Moon, The Names, Paul Haig, Juriti Column, Aztec Camera. The highlights is really this track. There's also a really cool track by Winston Tong, Belgian new wave band, and also one really cool track by Antenna, Isabelle Antenna's band, like Joy Division doing Bossa Nova. Yeah, so this was released, I believe, in 84, 85. And then you had these annual compilations where they updated some of the tracks. And this is the second volume, I believe, Ghosts of Christmas Past. It's super cheap still, I believe. And there's this kind of John Hassel meets industrial music, which is kind of what he is sometimes. With some of the William Burroughs techniques of cut up vocals and parasites. It's a really cool record. So yes, these were the highlights of week 13 of the 2021. One new record, 4 older ones, and next week should be more new stuff. And this weekend I might be finding some time to do one of the long projects I've had for quite some time. We'll see. Anyways, I hope you're all good and that you'll enjoy the Christ sacrifice. He gave us 4 days this year, so that's pretty good. Thank you. And if you eat chocolate, eat real chocolate, not this weird American thing you have. Anyways, thank you. Have a good night.